It seems that critics are dismayed that Furiosa isn't doing very well at the box office. And they just can't articulate why. They can't even say it's misogyny, because if all the women would go and see it, then it would make a killing. Like, 50 Shades of Grey didn't do well because men went to see it. So if you actually were to make a movie that was appealing to women, you would actually have a success. But unfortunately, they're making movies that don't appeal to men or women. So why is it the case? What's going on? And I actually thought about this, and I think I finally came to a conclusion that I haven't heard other YouTubers articulate. And that is the fact that when movies were popular, much more than they are now, and they were making a lot more cash than they are now, what they did correctly was to focus on the universe rather than the character. What I mean by this is, I remember when I actually got to see Mad Max, and I saw it on a VHS tape. I went into a rental store and got it. And the reason I got Mad Max was due to the universe. It was a post-apocalyptic setting, and it looked cool. It had people with cars and stuff. And it was interesting to see, like, what did the author think the world would look like in the case of an apocalyptic scenario. Like, that's what actually got me to the movie. It wasn't the main character. It wasn't any of the actors or anything like that. No, it was the setting. And you realize that when we were younger, we would go to see movies specifically due to the setting. It's like you're watching The Terminator, right? And you see that scene in the beginning with the far future, with the machines walking around in their skeleton form and shooting people. And you're like, oh, what is up with that? Like, you want to see more of that. But unfortunately, nowadays, they don't focus on the setting. Like, they focus on the character. The focus is like, hey, you like Mad Max, right? So, like, there was this chick in it. And wouldn't you like to see her starring in her own movie? And the problem is that all the characters that they're doing have the exact same personality type. Like, the exact same themes. It's the Hollywood girl boss theme where they are hyper-aggressive, very easy to take off. They do violence in order to solve every problem. And, you know, like, you can have a character like that, but, like, I already seen that character again and again and again and again and again and again, to the point where the plot becomes boring. Like, there's nothing new that you can add there in order to make it interesting. And they don't do relatable female characters anymore. Like, the feminists like to say, it's not okay for men to cry, and that got me thinking, when is the last time you saw a female character crying in a Hollywood movie? Because I really can't remember. Now you get to see that in anime, and what I mean by crying is to actually display some sort of human emotion. Like, for instance, Mikasa in Attack on Titan, when she thinks that Eren died, she cries. Aqua in Konosuba, she cries. That, like, in anime, female characters display a wide range of emotions, and they behave in a manner that normal humans behave. But when you're looking at Hollywood, you got like this stoic, resting bitch face, girl boss, hyper violent, fixes everything by punching men twice her size. And it's literally that, all over the place. And also trying to diminish sexuality as much as possible. Because at least if you had some fan service, if you had some booba or you had some cleavage, your brain would switch off. Because that's how pretty much it works, right? Like, these are TV shows that mostly cater to young men. Like I wouldn't have the interest at my age to see something like this, you know, to see just a girl running around, explosions everywhere. I mean, it's entertaining, but it gets boring after a while, you know? So these are not really my type of movies. The type of movies that this is for are young teenage boys that are pumped up on hormones, and they're going, like they just finished going through puberty. They're young adults. They would like to see, like, a pretty lady on the screen. This is why Transformers was popular. Like, they gave them Megan Fox. You know, even though the action is dumb, even though, like, the rest of the movie is dumb, it did well because Megan Fox. They don't even do that. Like, they're gimping themselves constantly. You know, they're gimping themselves by removing fan service, which is fine. You know, you don't need fan service in every movie, but, like, hopefully you have something else there. Like, hopefully there's something else to compensate, but there isn't. The plot isn't interesting, the story isn't interesting, and the setting isn't interesting. Like one of the cool things with the setting was to actually discover things about it. Like, when you watch Terminator for the first time, it's all about the setting, and you're curious, like, how did the machines rise up? What is Skynet? Like, you're asking all these questions, and, like, part of the interesting part is the discovery. But once you actually discover everything there is to know about Terminator, and you know what Skynet is, and you know everything about the history and the lore, that becomes boring. It becomes stale. That's why they can't really make a new Terminator sequel, because, like, people already know everything. There's no mystery to discover. And it's the same thing with what they're doing here with Mad Max. Like, people already know the Mad Max universe. We explored it. Unless you're going to pull up something completely new, maybe a zombie apocalypse with Mad Max, or some aliens that are coming, or something else, then you're not going to make an interesting setting. And this is what Hollywood is mostly about now. Like they're not focusing on creating new and interesting settings. They're just like, oh, this character is gay. Oh yeah, like, we're going to make a sequel from this, and, you know, it's what South Park said, put a chick in it and make her gay, the sequel. Literally that. Literally that. They have no more originality. I mean, look at this shit. Right? Box office, Furiosa, so a sequel. Garfield, also something inspired from it. Where is the originality? Where is the new movie, the new blockbuster? And by the way, you know, I watched a little bit of the Fallout TV show, and it seemed so safe and sanitized and very corporate and PR friendly. But then when you play the actual Fallout game, when you play Fallout 2, like, literally the first thing that you see is a shaman which is getting a vision of the future, and they're sending you on an epic quest. So, like, the setting is so different, right? Like, it's got nothing to do with modern corporatism, with modern America. Like, no, that world is dead. It's ruined. It's gone. Now you have, from the ashes of the old world, you got this person that has returned to tribalism, and it's a shaman that's having visions because they're smoking mushrooms and shit. And they're sending you on this epic quest in order to find the lost vault and find the Gek. But like, in order to do that, you need creativity. You need to think about different settings, different plots. They just can't do that. Like, they just take old settings, constantly. Sequels, prequels, spin-offs. And this one is great because it got a woman. I don't fucking care. Imagine if they made, like, 50 Shades of Grey spin-off, but instead of 50 Shades of Grey being a man, he's now a woman. And he's going to scissor with... Like, no one cares. It's not why people watch the first one. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm genuinely curious. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.